Yo, what's happening, guys? Welcome to Bull Run. Welcome to another forecast video. What I want you guys to do is make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. Comment on whatever things you guys want me to record. I know a lot of you lot wanted to know about my journey, like the kind of skill set and traits a trader should actually have, and kind of like the best things about trading, stuff like that. So I'm gonna do those videos at some point. But yeah, man, just keep supporting the movement. Little update on obviously where Bull Run is currently at. Now we started tweeting a few people. Support the movement. Look into what kind of offers we have. The website's not up and running at the moment. Literally just getting my graphic designer to kind of sort out all the kind of videos, and obviously kind of edit all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think like the logo and stuff still is kind of finalizing all that kind of stuff. The website's probably going to be up and running, hopefully, fingers crossed, in like 2 weeks. But without further ado, let's get straight into the forecast video and let's look at the charts.
Okay, so let's get into it. So we'll start off with the DXY. So with the DXY, I said last week was that it's been traded within this bearish channel. The moment it breaks it, we may see a new trend, new upwards trend maybe. However, I still believe that the DXY is on a bearish movement for the foreseeable future, but we are seeing some sort of correction here after having so many days, right, of a bearish movement, like almost, I think, if you're going to count it from here, so from the 18th of May, almost a month's worth full of bearish movement, right? And obviously you can see this massive bullish candles here. So let's see what we kind of expect, obviously, from the market going forward for next week. So the movement that I'm expecting to happen is I'm still expecting the correction to happen, maybe to around here, and then sometime midweek we'll see a retest of maybe this area here. I think this area here is going to be quite a key one to distinguish whether the market is going to go up or further down. I believe the market is going to go in this direction, right? So that's what we're looking for, and that's what I'm expecting to happen. Reason being is because obviously there's rumors going around of this potential second wave. Okay, now obviously we have not seen any sort of figures or evidential claims, evidence behind these claims. The moment we do see that, there's going to even be a more of a move from for investors to go into and start buying the dollar and obviously gaining its safe haven status once again. So that is the movement that we're expecting from the dollar to happen, literally. So we can expect, the movement up to here, right, which I believe is going to happen, and then maybe midweek we'll see a retest of this area or potentially a retest of this area, and then I see that a little bit of a correction before we start seeing the second wave of the dollar sell. Okay, the long-term picture is still pretty much that the DXY is going to be, going downwards. It's going to be bearish, but for the foreseeable future, that's what I'm expecting to see. Okay, so we'll move on to AUDUSD. I know previously I've spent a lot of time on DXY, but I want to start moving on to AUDUSD. So that's the kind of movement that we were expecting last week. So we saw the very short buy, and then we saw like the sell-off curve, and then the retest of that 0.70500 level, which I was predicting like almost like 2-3 weeks ago, right? But now I'm gonna change my view and stance on this. Reason being is obviously this second potential wave. We've seen the AUD get overbought on the higher time frames and now oversold. So the movement that I'm looking for in this, right, is the fact that I still believe that the market will maybe come to this area here, right, and then from here I believe we're gonna see this area get tested. Okay, before any further movement going upwards, that high and low needs to be created. We believe that it may have been created here, but I feel as if there's no key area of resistance or support here, especially in these higher time frames, for it to then bounce off. So I believe that it's going to come down here, and then we're going to see that potentially upwards movement in about a week or 2 weeks time. But for the foreseeable future, for next week, we're mainly going to we're mainly going to be concentrating on this movement, right? So we really want to be looking for selling opportunities, probably from around here, or maybe even here. Okay, so there's going to be two sell opportunities, right? The first one is obviously the one that I've just drawn, and then the second one is going to be this one here. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for. I don't think that 0.70500 level is going to get broken anytime soon. I think there's going to be that correction over next week. We're going to see that movement coming slowly heading towards it, and maybe the following week, so maybe next week, I might be looking for the buy opportunities going forward up here. Moving on to Euro USD. So this one, it's moving a little bit differently. I'm not entirely sure why. Right, I did see over the week. Over the week, it had a little bit of a different movement that we weren't probably expecting, or at least I wasn't expecting. Yes, I was expecting that buy, as I mentioned last week, that from this level here, it's going to come here as a retest and then push up. But then we saw this big sell-off from Wednesday, right, where we're seeing this mid-week correction reversal. But for this week, I think because of the rumors, it's had more of an impact, that reversal has, and it's obviously kind of deleted the kind of gains it's had over the beginning of the week and maybe even the second part of last week as well. Of the week before. So what am I expecting here? I'm expecting this to be broken, you know. So this was a key level here. If I was to zoom out, right? If I go into the day, right? It was probably a key level here. If I can stretch this all up to even here and here, you can see all the different taps, right? You can see these taps here. You can see these taps here. This one here and this one here as well. So if I go back to the 4-hour time frame, right? What I'm expecting is, I know this was what I was expecting maybe last week, but I don't think that's the case now. And you're going to see this pattern in my analysis for the rest of the majors. So what I can expect here is a break of this trend line as well. And we're going to see this movement here, right? And then we'll see maybe the buyers come in for a much better buyer setup to maybe potentially move this once again to this 1.1500 level. But this movement here, I think it can come in midweek, but it may come in the following week, right? We just need to see and wait if these rumors of this potential second wave is going to have an impact on the market, in the sense of that are investors going to move away from all these currencies and all investing in all these economies, and kind of obviously go back towards investing in the dollar, keeping their money safe in commodities, etc., etc. So we're going to have to wait and see if there's going to be any sort of evidence behind that claim for investors to move away. And then obviously if that does, then we'll continue to see the bearish movement. But I still believe in the interim, especially with a lot of economies, especially in the UK, like a lot of businesses are gearing up to open up tomorrow, Monday 15th of June. So, and obviously another key date is the 4th of July, where I think a lot of pubs get to open up and stuff like that. So especially with football coming back, I know I'm saying that because I'm a football fan, but ultimately it's the fact that there's going to be a lot more consumer confidence going forward, and the fact that we are starting to see that normality of things starting to get back to normal, and that will boost the economy so much, right? And that's the reason why I still think the long-term goal is that massive correction going back up for majority of these pairs against the dollar, and that bearish movement for the DXY. But for Euro USD, this is still a movement. I think it's going to come test this 1.1500 level. We may even see, depending on how much of these rumors, how important these rumors are, we might even see this movement up to there. And then, right, we might see this. But that's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting the first half of the week to be a bearish movement, and then the bullish movement to come in the second half of the week, or at least some sort of correction in the bullish favor of Euro USD midweek. Moving on to GBPUSD. Now, this has broken some key levels, right? We all thought, I think when it got to this 1.28 level, we all thought, wow, great, we're going to get to that 1.29, 1.3, and so forth, right? But I think the sell, a lot of people sold this here, which was a beautiful sell, if I'm honest with you, from that psychological level of 1.28. We saw that massive sell-off. So, and it's broken, obviously, some key resistance, right? It broke the 1.26 level, kind of. It came back to retest it, which would obviously, as one of the strategies that I teach, is literally so beautiful. It came to retest that 1.26 level, and you could have got in for that sell once again, and beautiful. Now, obviously, this trend line was firstly respected alongside that kind of retest from the support and resistance. Now, this level here is obviously where it's been retested. It's strong here in the first instances all the way back then. It kind of obviously broke through here on that third tap. It came to retest and bounced off it. What I'm believing and what I'm assuming to happen for the next week going forward is I am expecting a bearish movement for the first of the week. We're going to see a retest of this area, and I think it's going to break, and we're going to see this movement probably till about here, okay? And then from then on, right, we're going to see a buy and a bullish movement all the way up to here again, maybe later on in the week or even sometime next week. Like I said, all dependable on the claims behind this second rumored coronavirus wave, okay? But ultimately, in the interim, right, we're going to follow suit. in expecting the DXY to be bullish and investors to start, obviously, or at least have that initial move towards that safe haven status. So that's the movement I've expected for GBPUSD. Let's go towards NZDUSD. So NZDUSD. Okay, so what are we expecting here? So we like we saw for majority of the pairs, we saw that the kind of like pulled back from the massive DXY bullish strain that broke out of that bearish channel on the DXY that we just earlier analyzed. Now I still believe the fact that yes, it came out of oversold conditions. Is something that I learned not that long ago. Is the fact that a lot of times what we do see is we'll see the currency pair go into these oversold conditions, and then thereafter what we will see is the fact that the buyers will then come into the market to kind of bring it out of those oversold conditions, and then the sellers will then come in straight away and push it down even further. And that's a pattern that I've only recently noticed, especially using the RSI indicator. So where do I believe this pair is going to see, and what levels is it going to hit over the next week? Now, there's a big gap here. This is almost like from this key level here, that's almost like 150 pips or so. Now, that's a lot of movement to happen in the first 2 days. And there's been a lot of rumors around the NZD economy not faring quite well, even though they dealt probably the coronavirus situation probably the best out of everyone globally. But that's a whole different ballgame when it comes down to the actual economy. And now, has the actual economy been hurt? We're unsure, but there's a lot of reports coming to the fact that they're not trading out well. They're gonna have an impact. Themselves and Australia are gonna have an impact from this trade war that the Americans and Chinese are obviously going through. So which obviously has kind of died down because obviously of the whole situation globally around social injustice. So we're going to have to wait and see, but still as an interim basis, right, I can't see it breaking the 0.66 level anytime soon. That's going to happen maybe in a week or 2 weeks, right? In the interim basis, right, what we're going to see is this movement here. Now, we'll check the daily time frame to see if there's anything in between where we can potentially see some sort of stop gap, right? Yeah, where we can see a retest. Potentially maybe this area here, right? We can see this area here, which might give it a little bit of consolidation and obviously a retest opportunity for the market. So we're expecting this movement all the way down to this level here, but ultimately we might see the correction come in a little bit earlier midweek from around here, right, to maybe come to around here, right, to come retest that area, or even just a short retest probably to just about there, right, and then that further sell coming in. So it kind of all depends. Now, we were expecting, or at least I was expecting that 0.68 level to get hit this week. But, with the waves of with the rumors around the second wave, once again, that kind of halted that progression massively. And that breakout on the DXY from the bearish channel is obviously something that we need to be careful about. Moving on to USDCHF. So this was like my beauty, man, from last week. Like, it was amazing. Like, I predicted it literally to the T. If you watch my video from last week, I clearly said to you guys that there's gonna be a slight bullish momentum to this area here. We're gonna see that massive sell-off, right, all the way to this level here. We're gonna see that a bit of consolidation before or retest, which is exactly what happened here. We see the massive sell-off. We see the market pull back a little bit, come out of those oversold conditions I was talking about, right? At the bottom there, you can see an RSI, and then the sell came in literally to the T, right? And what I'm expecting for this one, right, is something quite similar once again, right, in the sense of the fact that we've had this bullish movement, right? What's going to happen is we're going to see, right, the bearish candle has obviously already started. We're going to see maybe somewhere around this mid-level, right? Let's check on the daily, see if there's anything kind of giving us that little support or breakthrough between those two zones. Maybe this level here is quite weak, if I'm honest with you. It is very, very weak, right, this level here, right? It's kind of cutting through some candles, which I'm not a big fan of. I'll be honest with you. But I think because that's such a big gap, right, between those two, I don't think the market is going to come back to this area for the sell. I think if it does, then great. So we've got two buying opportunities really, and that's what I'm expecting from USDCHF this week, is the fact that it is going to be on a bullish momentum, right? And I think we're going to start to see a new formation of a wedge or some sort of triangle or trend or channel, whatever you want to call it. Right, and that's going to happen, right? And I feel as if it's going to come through here, right? Or even the fact that we're going to have maybe a second buy opportunity from here, right? And what we're going to see is maybe a new channel get created, right? And the market is going to probably play, right, between this gap here. It's going to play within this over the next week, and I think that's what we're going to see, right? This all dependable, obviously. I think if we can squash the rumors of this second wave, if that gets squashed, then what we're going to expect is the bearish movement. This trade, this pair is just going to dive. It's just going to dive massively. But for next week, and that's what we want to focus on, I think that's the movement that we're going to see. We're going to see two buying opportunities, one here and one here, potentially, and for the market to play within these two trend lines. Moving on to USD CAD. So, USD CAD moved a little bit funnier. Moved a little bit funnier than what I was expecting to happen. I was expecting, obviously, that sell, that the bullish momentum to come up to here, but with two juggernauts going at each other, it is difficult. It did come through, right, from here to get to this level, and then for that sell, but it kind of obviously broke through, and then creating a retest, and I think that's geared up for a massive buying opportunity, maybe even from Monday directly, right? I feel as if what this pair is going to go through, and we can see the fact that it's starting to move potentially, right, and we're within this channel like here. Oh, 1 second. Right, within this little channel here, okay. So you can see how that literally just took me 2 seconds to literally draw that channel, right? Now what we can see is I think there's going to be a breakout here. Normally, normal conditions, you say, oh yeah, it's going to come here, it's going to play here, it's going to come down here, right, and so forth. But actually, what I believe is going to happen is this market is actually, the currency with it movement, currency pair movement, USDCAD movement, blah, 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 all of that is actually going to move in this direction. I think it's going to come back to test this top trend line if I just stretch this out, and I'm going to leave it out, and that's what I'm expecting. I'm going to be bold here, and I think that is exactly the movement that we are expecting. I think there's two opportunities to buy. You can literally buy on Monday, I think, maybe potentially for this, right? It's quite a risky movement for me to say the fact that buy on Monday for this first opportunity, but I think if you want to go for the safe one and kind of wait to see what happens with it, I think the first thing that's going to happen is literally it's going to come up to here, right? I always hate drawing with this paintbrush, but yeah. And then obviously look for the buy, for the breakout of this channel going upwards towards that movement. Moving on to USDJPY. Sorry, I'm sniffling my nose. Like, I think I've just got a little bit of a cold, change of weather kind of situation, hay fever, all of that. But yeah, all right, okay. So USDJPY. I said to you guys last week, the retest, right? The sell-off is going to come in, right? Although I did predict the fact that, or I expected the market to go to this 111, 112 level, it didn't, right? And this came through mainly because of the fact that USD lost its strength. The JPY started gaining massive amounts of strength. There's so many different factors that come into play. But one of them probably you could say, if you're using RSI, if someone that knows how to use RSI, massively overbought conditions for literally throughout the entire week of last week. So there was going to be a sell-off at some point. Now a lot of us probably expected a buy here, but it then came down to test this area. Now what I'm expecting for this trade here, and which is going to be a little bit different to what I'm expecting for the others, is I think the movement's going to come here, and then it's going to come towards this level, and it's going to test this area here. Right, that is exactly it. I'm not going to be spending much more time on USDJPY. Reason being is I think because it moves a little bit more funnier, it's one of the ones that I tend to stay away from because of the fact that it does move slightly different to some of the other pairs. That's just because of the fact that you've got the Japanese yen, which is obviously something quite similarly to Chinese yen. It has got a little bit of a safe haven status, kind of obviously a manipulated currency of some sort, and obviously you've got the USD, which is a safe haven status as well. So it's kind of like two juggernauts going at each other. So it moves a little bit different to some of the other pairs, but that's what I believe is going to happen. The bearish movement for USDJPY is going to withhold or be upheld. That's when yeah. Moving on to gold. Okay, now this is just a beauty, man. I've had such a beautiful run with gold. Last week, I'm not gonna lie, I did predict this bearish movement and it didn't come through. And I think the main reason why it didn't come through was the fact that I don't know why I just deleted that. The main reason why it didn't come through is because of the fact that why can't I? Oh, that's fine. The main reason why it didn't come through is because the rumors around second wave, literally that took investors away from all the other currencies and directly straight back into commodities and safe haven currencies. However, on the 1 hour, even on the 4 hour, we can see this little small here. I'm gonna even highlight this out, if it lets me, right? Is a head and shoulders, and I think depending where you caught it from, because I actually published this on Friday, right? And you would have got some massive amount of pips already, right? So I published this on Friday for a sell from the right shoulder, right? And you would have made almost about a good 110 pips, right? Which is crazy considering the fact that I published that at 2 o'clock, and by the end of the day, I think the latest, I think it's probably around 6 o'clock or something, right? Yeah, or somewhere between 5 and 6 is when you would have been able to cash out around the 1729, 1730 level, especially when the sell coming in from like the 1741, 1740 level, okay? And I think that movement's going to continue to happen. Now we'll see. Well, at least I'm gonna expect that. I really want the head and shoulders to come through. This level here is obviously going to be very key. Let me just get a ray out. Right, this level here. Now we can see multiple bounces here. Right, yeah, I've cut through these wicks. Don't really care because I'm more looking at these taps here. 1, 2, 3. You want to call that 4, 5. The taps here 5, 6, 7. So this is what I'm expecting. I'm expecting the head and shoulders movement to continue its bearish. 1 second. Bearish movement all up to there. Right, to this level here, which is 1721, which has been respected quite nicely, right, since about the 11th, so since midweek. And then I'm expecting, if the rumors get upheld around the second wave and we see some sort of evidence behind it, this is going to break through this channel, and we may potentially see a retest of the 1750, 1746 and 1750 level. All right, that is the movement that we're expecting over the next week for gold. So yeah, guys, that is literally it. I know I've gone through it pretty fast this week. Reason being is because I think we're kind of in a bubble at this moment in time where we're kind of on the edge to see the impact of the economies opening up, and I think it's going to be a positive movement. But this whole thing around the second wave, right, has kind of messed us all up this week. So we're gonna wait. We're gonna have to wait and see what happens with this whole second wave, rumors around the second wave. All right. If it gets squashed, then great, fantastic. I think that just gives us a much more clearer view and outset for the kind of setups that we're looking for over the next week and over the coming weeks. Now I think we're going to be following suit. I think there's going to be a key stage coming round maybe in about I would say in about 3 to 4 weeks time, where the markets will start to see the real and true impact of COVID-19. Are we going to see a huge hit in sales or revenue for companies, government spending, all that kind of stuff, right? And we're going to really see the impact of all of that soon enough. And I think that's what's going to give us a view onto what's going to happen for the remaining time of the year. But yeah, thank you guys again for watching. Subscribe, like, comment. Let me know what else you guys want to see. I've got a lot of videos that I've kind of pending. Some that I've actually even recorded around my journey, around obviously Forex and stuff like that. So yeah, you know what? Keep a lookout for it. Turn on your notifications, all of that kind of stuff that you see everyone else saying. But yeah, man, let me know, comment down below whatever you want to see going forward. All right, and I'll see you guys in the next video.